What I enjoyed most about my placement was working in a multidisciplinary team. This involved working with speech and language therapists, behavioural support nurses and community learning disability nurses. The support from these different disciplines on your first few weeks of placement is excellent to help you through to learn the social work process and to give you that extra bit of support at a stage which can be quite nerve-wracking. What I found most challenging about my placement was finding my placement was with a learning disability team. This was definitely not within my radar at all. It wasn't where I wanted to be for my final placement. However, the more I got to know my service users, the more I started to enjoy my work. And at the end, I thoroughly enjoyed working with them. And if someone offered me a job in that area today, I would take it. My mind changed completely from the start of my placement to the end of my placement, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had working in that environment as a social worker. The one piece of practice which I found interesting on my placement was accessing bespoke daycare services for one of my service users. This involved actually sourcing the service and then contracting with the service provider. It was something that the Trust had never done before. It was very new to the Trust due to the fact that it was actually quite expensive, but very rewarding, working in a very person-centred approach, finding out what his interests were, and actually really getting him involved in the process. And alongside that, working with riding for the disabled and seeing the impact of actually horse riding on a particular client who was assessed as having Tourette's, and how the change in his behaviour took place once he actually got up onto the horse. It was very, very good to see, very interesting, and as a matter of fact, that's something that I would like to continue with through into my work as a social worker. The one tip I would give to a student going to my placement is knuckle down, get stuck in. That's probably more tips than one tip. Knuckle down, get stuck in, and do your background reading and work really hard. And if you work really hard and learn about what impacts the service users, forget about the processes, forget about everything else, learn about what actually is impacting the service users. For example, autism. Find out as much as you can about autism and how that impacts on the person you're working with. And if you do that, everything else falls into place.